We're back, and
Is this live?
yeah, there you go.
Hello.
There you go.
So we have commandeered us a third party here who was watching that game. So trying to get
I was watching Yoshi behind Yoshi's screen, which was extremely entertaining. There was one Protoss player who we shall not name that was less than happy at the outcome and the fact that they were going to Game 3, but I was severely entertained.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of back and forth in that game. Like we said, over 100 SC or workers killed on either side.
That was brutal.
Yeah,
it was a massacre.
A slugfest of a game there.
I mean, just to kind of sum it up from my perspective. Now, remember, I was only watching the Terran, but of course, both sides were up in each other's face the entire time. It wasn't just sitting back turtling the entire time, just going back and forth. I loved what Yoshi was doing, just constant nuke harass, keeping Dancer, I believe it was, on his toes. Now, what happened? The reason, at some point where Yoshi looked like he almost might die to those Tempests, apparently he forgot to research Youmacon cannon, which he pointed out after the game. And Youmacon cannon is pretty good for taking out things that can kite you indefinitely.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it could have gone either way. I think there were some opportunities early where way too many of the Templar were clumped up, and like 1 or 2 EMPs just cleaned him out. If he spreads his Templar or just gets a little bit better storms, maybe Warp Prism drops for storms, I think Dancer can take a game like that a lot quicker and a lot easier. But Yoshi seems really comfortable once you get to that 100+ workers killed, scrappy, ridiculous.
Once you get past the 20-minute point, he's pretty comfortable.
I had no idea how that game was going to end, but I think the next one's going to be extremely entertaining.
So tell me this. So is there a way that you would suggest, so if you were to go over to the back of Dancer and say, hey man, this is how you can make this game not last an hour, what would you tell them?
I'm not necessarily, well, we're on Overgrowth right now as the next map, which is probably the most turtly map for people who want to take a very small amount of bases and make a very large amount of strong units, like a mech player off of those. Overgrowth is the best map for that. Of course, the hidden base factored in a lot last game, but right now, I think Dancer on this map, honestly, I would like to see just straight to Sky Toss. Just play defensive, maybe get cannons in each mineral line, open up oracles, and then 3-base carrier.
Nice.
I'm not joking. Like, go for it. Why not?
Why not?
YOLO. But I wouldn't be surprised if they both cheese
So I assume
each
you're
other.
also paying attention to these games to scout out your opponent for potential matches tomorrow, yeah?
I mean, I don't play, there's not a single Zerg in this game, so right now it's just entertainment value for me, and watching Desro get a little bit salty about it, but it looks like we're ready to start. You guys
Yeah,
ready
it
to
looks
go?
like we're getting in here.
All right. It's
All
going to
right,
be a great
Winter,
game.
Thanks for stopping by. We do have the lobby all set up here, and we're getting it going as Winter shakes the heck out of our platform stand that we're on. Getting off. So let's see. We are
Need
going
more
into
stabilizers.
something. So we have not been given control of the lobby yet. As soon as we do, we will be able to get this going. I think there's some chit-chattery going on.
I think I've got a penny I can throw.
Maybe our admins have forgotten to give us control.
It does look like it. Oh, you found something to throw.
We need control of the lobby so we can start the game. Thanks. There we go.
All right.
There we go. All right. Here we good to go.
All right. It looks
Only
like
just
the
have to
lobby's
find
starting.
things to throw at the admins
Oh,
to get their
thanks.
attention. Thanks.
He brought it back, too. What a good
Yeah,
admin.
Thanks for giving it back. All right, here we go into game number 3. We only have gotten to watch one, but it has seemed like a whole series.
It really has. I mean, this has definitely gone longer than almost all the series that we've cast, sometimes 2 series put together.
Yes, yes indeed. But alas, we're going to go into game number 3, and it's probably going to be a long game, so hopefully you went to the bathroom in between. And in the lower left-hand corner, it is going to be our orange Protoss. His name is Dancer.
And in the top right-hand corner, the winner of the last game, it is Yoshi.
And to be quite honest with you, I mean, like, every one of these series that we cast with Yoshi, it seems like it always goes to whatever the longest game is in the series, too.
Yep.
There's not too many. I mean, honestly, I'm not really trying to make a joke, but it kind of lends to the fact that the play style is good, but it doesn't win you 100% of the games, but it's effective enough that it lets you win a lot of series.
I think that Yoshi just likes to be casted. And it's just like, yeah, well, maybe if I drop this one, then I get to go into the next one, and then I'll take that one, and that'll be fine. Just wants to, get the maximum exposure, and who could blame him, right?
Well, I mean, he has gotten a lot of exposure, and, I mean, there's a lot of people, especially from locally around, that know about him and know about his play style because, and, I mean, that's the thing that makes it so good. People know your play style because you do it every single time without variance, and when you can study someone's play style and they can still beat you in a relatively respective basis, that really says something about you as a player and your understanding of not only the game but how your playstyle works and the different variations of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I mean, Yoshi's an aggressive player, and while he turtles and he gets this mech style, like there was not a moment that he really wasn't running around the map last game, continuing to kill workers of his opponent and try and get the advantage that way. So definitely has a lot of APM to spare to be able to do that type of thing.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Dancer's going to change this. Definitely, I definitely approve of what Winter was saying about just go directly to Sky Toss. I mean, he kind of, I like what he did last game where he kind of had this broad arc of pressure. It wasn't like pressure in any one spot. It was just like, hey, I'm here. Mm-hmm. You can't go anywhere.
Right.
But, I mean, as turtley as it is, it's turtley but also aggressive because he uses those Hellions in other units to kind of put pressure on you while still doing other stuff. And he's making a Reaper, which is highly unusual, but a Reaper nonetheless. And I don't know. I just think that would be a good idea of something for Dancer to try. But also you have to be very careful with that because you don't have a lot of defense early.
Yeah, and I mean early Sky Toss on this map in particular, like it's not like you can juke out of one mineral line and get into another mineral line really easily. You kind of got to go through some dangerous territory, or you fly all the way around and give your opponent enough time to really reposition their army to defend against it.
Yeah.
So it looks like there is a block by Yoshi for the engineering base, so that Nexus is going to be late.
He did notice it in time and make the Zealot and Mothership Core here in reasonable time before he was ready to expand, as we saw in the game earlier with Poison. That she came down, was ready to expand, had the 400 minerals and engineering bay, and then you're like, oh, I got these minerals, I can't. I want to do my build, but I can't. And then you have to deal with that and end up having 700 minerals, or changing your build altogether into something you don't feel as comfortable with. Mm-hmm. But looks like he got that taken out before he's even to the point of being ready to expand. Now starting to save up minerals to the 350 point, Factory and Command Center going down for Yoshi, so a little bit quicker expand this time maybe. And a few more bio units also. He's got that Reaper out and he's making Marines 2x2 from his barracks currently.
Yeah, that's a little bit different. We don't see a ton of Marines from Yoshi usually, but he does want to get that bunker. He does want to be safe and to make this expansion, and that is a good way to do it.
He doesn't usually expand quite this early, it seems like, so I think he wants to maybe get this command center out there a little faster. Also, like Winter was saying, if you want to sort of take these 3 bases in this region relatively quickly and then just be able to defend them really well to be able to get that high-value army. But now 2 Stalkers, 1 Zealot headed across the map from Dancer, wanting to put some pressure on that right away, which is a pretty good composition here early in the game. He's just kind of scouting around, looking for any scouts or units might be flying around. Mothership Core is with him, which gives him an exit strategy if he needs to get out relatively quick.
Mm-hmm. 2 more gateways. A robotics facility is just now coming in here for Dancer as well. So it looks like we're not going to be seeing quite that early Stargate opening.
1 Marine down, does take out the Zealot with the bunker, and a Hellion is there. Ready to help defend as well, but this is going to pull several SCVs off as he wants to be sure to get that bunker well repaired. The Mothership Core is scouting out the base. No surprise, there's a starport and a factory, both cranking out things, although there is a tech lab, and one would see that and maybe think Banshee, but it's not researching cloaks, so I'm
just getting that Raven.
These players are high enough skill level at this point that he would probably assume that's probably a Raven. And I mean, honestly, seeing how effective those point defense drones are and have been, there is no reason that that's a bad choice.
Unless he doesn't have.
So, okay, so the other thing Dancer needs to do better this game that will allow him to be more stable is to defend his sort of remote bases a little better. He lost a lot of probes last time to just these you know, as few as 3, but as many as like 8 or 9 Hellions just come in and there's really not much he can do about that. Right now there's 3 here, but 2 Stalkers in the Sentry are going to have a pretty hard time. They're going to focus down this Sentry.
Well, they do block off the easiest point of entry into the probe line, but still getting killed.
The bunched up probes, man, losing 4 probes. That's what. It's the story of all game. Just 4 probes here, 4 probes there, and 50 minutes later, you've lost 110.
You're over 100.
But Yoshi has secured this expansion here relatively quickly, and looks like he's pretty safe, just making a ton of Hellions. Those Hellions actually took off so fast there. They did a little wheelie. I never noticed that before. He does have an observer out front here, so mines shouldn't be too big of a concern. But, I mean, he's just been so effective with these Hellions. It's smart of him to just keep doing it.
So command center going down again for Yoshi, now putting in a factory as well, so starting up that mech, so getting his 3rd one actually. So getting that mech production going more and more. Another, now Viking, so he's got a Banshee, a Raven, and a Viking, oh my.
This Widow Mine here, just like he has done in previous games as well, kind of putting it at the outside expansion so that he has to fight for them a little bit at least, but there's also some Hellions behind it, and they're kind of swinging around the side. I'm not sure he saw that as his 4 Stalkers are roaming around the map here. Honestly, not much of those Stalkers are going to be able to get done as the wall is fully complete, and there's a bunker and a tank here out front. No harm in trying, though.
No harm indeed. So those 5 Hellions are starting to move their way over. And there's nothing really out front here to block them from coming in. The Stalkers were a little bit out of position, so they're going to get some kills. 5 probes, 6 probes fried, and a few more.
And this is
over 10 now.
Yeah, this is exactly what Yoshi's good at. Exactly what he's doing. Just like kind of keeping you on your toes. I mean, he's got these 4 Stalkers out here, and they've been wandering around trying to find stuff, but they missed those Hellions coming around the back route. And looking at the units killed so far, 16 probes total and no SCVs lost. So the total unit count right now is 46 SCVs to 35 probes. And I mean, that really lopsides the income at almost double for Yoshi right now.
Yeah, and I think Yoshi's kind of come into his stride a little bit here too. He seems to be playing very comfortably.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has a knack about what he does. He blinks up and kills some more of these Hellions, but I mean, those Hellions have been worth their weight in gold. And still, there's not a lot these Stalkers are going to be able to do aside from there is a little bit of an opening here to blink up into the main base of Yoshi. But he's just going to kind of come up here and see what he can do. Poke and takes 1 tank shot, blinks out safely. That's the nice thing about Blink. He can just kind of get on out. Putting down a pylon, you can tell that maybe Dancer doesn't want to play another hour-long game. But this is sort of how he opened last game, just kind of with a little bit of Blink pressure. But Yoshi does have tanks in a position that he's able to get some damage done. But blinks up, takes out 1 tank. It is going to be a bit of effort for Yoshi to go ahead and pull back up here because the tanks coming up that ramp takes a while.
And there's that point defense drone shutting down these Stalkers. But he's Blunk out of the range of that. He's trying to do whatever economic damage he can do. These Stalkers are continuing to fall. He's only got 6 left here.
Yeah, taking out these Vikings is definitely a good win too. He's using a lot of blinks to just navigate in the main base, and he's so deep here. I mean, there's really no path out for these Stalkers. He's going to lose every single one of these, and I'm not sure he's gotten value out of them. Only 3 SCVs killed in that.
Yeah, he killed a couple of Vikings. I think he would have really liked to have killed that Raven, but it still survives with 20 HP.
And it seems insignificant at this point, but the resources lost are 4,200 to 2,900, so a little bit in favor of Yoshi. But I think towards the end of the game, or at least even mid-game, we were at like 30K to or 40K, so still a lot of more resources left to be lost. But Yoshi.
Are we talking mid-game in terms of like the 30-minute mark? Because I like in a traditional game, we're kind of at the mid-game point.
Like the end game. Yeah, we've had entire series that have lasted much less time than one of these games. But there are 2 Marines coming out here. Yoshi just doesn't really like them in his composition, so he's just sacrificing them out. But 4 Stalkers moving over here might be able to get 1 shot on a tank, maybe hoping to bait some energy off of that Raven, but just is kind of shoved away. The Hellbats turn back into Hellions much faster to get across the map.
And Marines are kind of running around looking for any pylons that may have been strewn across the map.
Oh man, here comes Yoshi again as the assault crew of these 5 Hellions. And once again, oh my gosh, at the natural expansion of Dancer, the only thing back there is 4 Templar.
Yeah, usually the best against Hellions.
No, and those Hellions, oh man. Not going to get many probe kills here, but if he goes back towards the natural, it's going to be scary time.
Yep, did kill too and took out that. Oh, there's an Immortal though.
Yeah,
and Immortal will chase those away.
No, it does bait a Photon Overcharge there as well. It does have enough energy for one more Photon Overcharge. Looks like Zealot's getting a little bit of work done here at the 3rd expansion. Yoshi not really getting this established yet, losing a few SCVs, 9 total. And this is going to be a harder one to defend for Yoshi because it's going to kind of leave open the left side there, especially if Dancer transitions to air faster than he has done in previous games, which it really doesn't look like he's planning on.
No. He does have those Templar there building energy. He's getting Immortals, and back come those Hellions. They're trying to take some shots. They'll probably get at least 1 or 2 of these, well, maybe all 3 of those, yeah.
I feel like kind of the whole, kind of like going for a more static-y type defense play and going into air a little bit faster would be a little better because it would stop these kind of runarounds of the Hellions, and you wouldn't be able to be as aggressive, but honestly he's not really gaining much by being aggressive right now. He's just losing a bunch of Stalkers. And he's killed a few SCVs. The worker kill count's 14-20 right now in favor of Yoshi. But I mean, it's nothing crazy, and now Yoshi's actually got a pretty darn scary looking army at the 17-minute point in this game, 145 supply. But we know Yoshi doesn't just like to move across the map. He's got to take his sweet time and make sure it's right and make sure he's well defended in order to do so. Yep,
he definitely takes his time, and he makes sure that he's not going to lose his army to something silly, like a bad positioning. He's like a chess player in that way, you know, like just really kind of puts those pieces down very deliberately.
He's definitely got a lot of stamina too. I mean, it takes a lot to play games this long for this long a duration. I mean, we're only at the midpoint of the tournament, and you know, so there's a lot of games left, and especially if he keeps winning. I mean, that's essentially towards the end of the tournament. What he said ended up losing him a game against Winter in the finals is he just got tired.
Yeah. And who could blame him? I mean, if you played 12 hours straight of StarCraft.
Yeah.
Literally.
Literally. New Age literally, not the figuratively literally. But there are a bunch of Templar back here, and they're about to get smacked by these tanks. Oh my gosh, storms do go off, but not doing a ton of damage to these Hellbats. There are so many Hellbats.
And only one of those High Templar got out of there.
Yeah, that's real bad news. Looking at the resources lost, now it's almost double that of Dancer than Yoshi. And Yoshi is actually being a tad bit more aggressive here than he normally is. Those Hellbats just going up and tanking like zealots for the tanks that are in the back. And there is one Immortal here, but not able to get a whole lot done. Stalkers running up on the tanks.
And they're doing a lot of damage here. A lot of tanks are falling. Unfortunately, there's still a lot of Hellbats and Vikings. Yeah. So it's not like this is over. And those zealots realize that that is not a good position for them to be. Those Hellbats are chasing them down.
And there was a drop that landed of Hellbats into the main base, or sorry, the natural expansion of Dancer. He lost 42 probes.
Oh my goodness. So now we're seeing that the supply is a third of Yoshi's for Dancer, and this is really not looking good for him right now.
Yeah. I think, honestly, I mean, this playstyle, Yoshi is obviously very accustomed to playing this playstyle and the stamina it takes to do it. By the time it gets to Game 3, I think Yoshi just has a big advantage because he's literally worn his opponent down.
And I think that by Game 3, too, your opponent probably expects a certain style of play. So at the 20-minute mark, when you move out with a bunch of tanks, they're not necessarily expecting that.
Yeah, and now he's going to try and make a little push up. These tanks are not sieged, so might get a little bit done, but these Hellbats actually doing quite a bit of damage to the Archon here. But there's nothing to tank for these units. The Mothership Core does go in and put a Time Warp on there and a couple Storms. But that's just not going to be enough to get it done here against this Archon. And Immortal would like to be doing damage to those tanks, but those Hellbats are just surrounding, and GG.
So Yoshi wins the match.
Wow, shortest game ever for Yoshi. I think played at a Youmacon event so far at 20 minutes. I mean, seriously, I was talking about it a few minutes ago. We were talking about, Dancer coming out in Game 1. He had a really long game, really effective game, played it well. We didn't get to see it, but he won, obviously, as we got to Game 3. And by Game 2, it's same strategy from both sides, but not quite as effective for Dancer. And then Game 3, Yoshi just kind of walks over him. And I was kind of half joking, kind of half talking about it a couple minutes ago with, Yoshi's playstyle just wearing his opponents down. I mean, Does that seem like what happened to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that he changed up his strategy a little bit in that third game, and he didn't really have to invest as much into defense on that map as he had on the previous map. So he was able to focus more on actually getting units out, moving units, and it's a smaller map too, so the positioning isn't it's not quite as precise, I guess. You know, you can move out a little bit further. It doesn't take you as long to go from one end of the map to the other. So he was able to move out with those tanks, do a lot of damage, took out that base, did so much damage with those Hellbats. And when you've got 25 probes to 80 SCVs, that's trouble town.
Yep. So we're going to get an interview here with our winner, Yoshi, and then we should have another match coming up, which is probably going to be Desro versus Yoshi. Yep, and that is confirmed. So next match coming up is going to be Desro versus Yoshi here on this stream, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back with an interview.